Hello and welcome with another video. Today I am here again with a very interesting topic that is which I have in my last lecture I have I told you that I will be discussing with you something very interesting, that is planes of symmetry. What is simply symmetry, or what is planes of symmetry? So let's talk about that. Let's write down the heading. Planes of symmetry. So it is simple to follow that if we cut an object into two equal parts, and if those two parts are the mirror images of each other, we simply you can cut an object into two mirrored halves. So if there are, if you simply bisect a molecule in such a way that they are equally cut and then they are the mirror images of one another, this is called this is simply called a mirror plane or plane of symmetry, right? So this is actually this plane of symmetry, it's an imaginary plane, right? It's an imaginary plane. It's an imaginary plane that is bisecting a molecule into two sections, Fine. So that are mirror images, of each other. So this is a simple definition of you can say plane of symmetry. Actually, it's an imaginary plane, as I just have mentioned here, and the concept of this plane of symmetry goes with the three-dimensional shapes. It goes with the three-dimensional space. It goes with the three-dimensional shapes, right? This planes of this concept, it goes with the three-dimensional shapes. So now if we talk about any chiral compounds, so they will lack this plane of symmetry because they're those two parts, that is the object and its mirror image, will not be superimposable into each other, right? They won't be the mirror images of each other. Whereas if you are talking about the otherwise, that is the objects that are mirror images of each other are simply called achiral, right? The achiral ones, right? Achiral objects or achiral ones are the ones, right, that has the two similar groups attached to a tetrahedral atom, right? If a tetrahedral atom, carbon atom, has four different groups, right, and the two of them are same, right? So as for example, here you can see A, B, C, and C, right? So this is going to give you simply this is an achiral molecule. So I was telling you about this simple example which I just took as it's a random example. If any of the two of the four groups are similar, that means they are going to possess the plane of symmetry, right? The plane of symmetry would be there. That is, if you bisect the molecule into two equal halves, one half would be the mirror image of the other one, right? So and of course this type of a molecule is only present when the molecule is not chiral, right? When the molecule is achiral. Achiral means that is the opposite of chiral. So then one thing is clear now, that chiral molecules, they lack the plane of symmetry. The chiral molecules or objects, they lacks plane of symmetry. So this is one point which we have understood up till now, right? And if you simply, again I can explain that it's an imaginary plane bisecting a molecule into two sections that are mirror images of each other. And of course, this concept of plane of symmetry goes with the three-dimensional shapes. It always goes with the three-dimensional shapes. So now, and the chiral molecules, they lack the plane of symmetry. The another example of a chiral molecule is bromochlorofluoromethane. Okay, so this can't be superimposed. If you rotate it at about 180 degrees, you are not going to, get plane of symmetry, right? It will not have a plane of symmetry. I can show it in an example. So let's draw bromochlorofluoromethane. So okay, and if you draw a mirror plane, right? There it is. Simply bromochlorofluoromethane. So if you are now going to superimpose it by rotating at about 180 degrees, if you rotate the molecule at about 180 degrees, right? If you rotate this image at about 180 degrees, right? Like this, 180 degrees rotation, right? So you are going to get a compound. I will show you what you're going to get. Br and of course an H. You are going to get this compound. Now this is when you simply rotate it at about 180 degrees rotation, the groups are simply rotate, right? You can see the bromo over here. Now here, when you rotate the molecule at 180 degrees, it's just the opposite. So the bromine atom, it comes to this side. So this has a chiral center here. So we are going to mark the So this is a chiral center here, and I'm going to mark it with an asterisk, right? Asterisk is for the chiral center. Chiral center, or a stereogenic center, or an asymmetric center, right? So these are all the terms, and they are all one and the same. They means the same. So they lack the symmetry. They simply lack the symmetry. They lack the symmetry which we were talking about. And there are certain types of symmetry, like some symmetry elements like lines, planes, points. There's other types also like lines, planes, right? Planes and points, right? This is also other types of symmetries that are there, but we're not discussing right now here. So that corresponds simply to the equal parts of an object. These all they corresponds to the what? To the equal parts of object. Equal parts of the object. Plane of symmetry is also called the internal mirror plane, which is a plane that cuts an object into two halves that are mirror images of each other. Now this structure, right, it has got an asymmetric carbon atom over here, and it is tetrahedral. This is a tetrahedral carbon that has 4 different groups arranged around it. So this was the main reason of explaining it to you people, that it lacks symmetry. The chiral compounds, they lack the symmetry. The plane of symmetry is not there. When you are going to rotate them, you're not going to get the mirror image of that compound when you bisect the molecule into 2 equal halves. So this was something very interesting which I've just explained. Okay, and I just told you that this is also called internal mirror plane, or plane of symmetry is also called internal mirror plane, which is what? Which is of course a plane that cuts an object into 2 halves that are exact mirror images of each other. One half, when you cut an object into 2 halves, it is one object is just the mirror image of the other object, right? This is simply the definition of plane of symmetry. For example, if you take a coffee mug and you cut the coffee mug into 2 halves, one half would be the mirror image of the other one. Just like the other example is an ethanol molecule. If you bisect the ethanol molecule, I will show you now both the examples, but I'm just telling you for your information that the ethanol molecule, again, if you bisect it into 2 equal halves, right, they're not going to superimpose. They are of course going to superimpose, and they are of course an example of achiral compounds, and they will simply have a plane of symmetry in it. Now this is a coffee mug, or a coffee mug, or a cup mug. You can take tea in it. Now if you're going to bisect it, right, just like this, in the middle, right? So now here what is happening, that if you cut it here like this, if you cut it into 2 equal parts or halves, one part would be the mirror image of the other one. One part is the mirror image of the other one, right? And just like simply this is the other examples. If you have an ethanol molecule, and you simply bisect it from the middle, one part would be the mirror image of the other, right? So this would be an achiral compound. There are other examples also. I can show you one more example of plane of symmetry. It would help you out in following simply. Okay, so if you just simply bisect it like this, right? This line is supposed to be straight. So one side would be the mirror image of the other. So if it simply cuts this molecule into two equal parts or two equal halves, they are the mirror images of each other, right? So it's simply an imaginary plane. Mirror plane is actually an imaginary plane that bisects the two sides, and one side is the mirror image of the other. I've taken another example. You can see here. Now if you simply bisect it from the center, like this, right? So it simply bisects the methyls. Methyl groups were here, CH3 and the CH3. So what is it's going to do? It's going to bisect into equal to halves the methyls, the carbons, of course the carbons, and hydrogens into the two halves, right? Equal halves, which are the mirror images of each other. So this is simply an imaginary plane bisecting a molecule into two sections that are mirror images of each other. Now we have followed one thing, that achiral molecules have what? A plane of symmetry. Fine. And of course, I've shown you the example of a mug and ethanol molecule, which were achiral, whereas chiral molecules do not have this plane of symmetry. Chiral molecules do not have this plane of symmetry, right? As they are not superimposed on their mirror images. Why they do not have this plane of symmetry? Because they are not superimposable on their mirror images. So now there is another example of 2-chloropropane. I will show you now. I will draw it and I will show you. Or I will simply show you the molecular models of 2-chloropropane. And I will compare it with another molecular model of 2-chlorobutane. Now, 2-chloropropane is supposed to be an achiral molecule, right? So, what is this 2-chloropropane? There it is. This is simply a model of a 2-chloropropane. Simply, you can see the two methyl groups and a chlorine atom over here, right? This is a chlorine atom and the two methyl groups. So, 2-chloropropane, it has an exact plane of symmetry. If you bisect the molecule from between, right, you are going to get, if you bisect it like this, you are going to get, of course, simply bisect it here. So you are going to get the exact mirror image of the other molecule because it has got two similar groups in this molecule. As I've told you that the plane of symmetry exists in the molecule when the two groups, any of the two groups are similar. So these two groups are similar. So it has the, of course, the mirror plane of symmetry. When you bisect it like this, right? It has one side is the mirror image, left side is the mirror image of the right side. Right? This is So this was the example of a molecule which is achiral. It is achiral molecule, 2-chloropropane. It is achiral molecule, and it has a plane of symmetry, as the one half is the mirror image of the other half. So this is a molecular model of 2-chloropropane, and I just showed you that if you bisect the molecule into two equal halves, one half would be the mirror image of the other, right? And it is an achiral molecule. So molecules with a plane of symmetry are achiral. Now we have understood which molecules are achiral, that has the plane of symmetry. So if somebody asks you what is a plane of symmetry, you can say that yes, the achiral molecules, mostly they have the plane of symmetry, which is also called the internal mirror plane. So let's talk about the other molecule, 2-chlorobutane. 2-chlorobutane. It is a chiral molecule. It is chiral, right? Because it has got an ethyl group, C2H5, right? A methyl group, a hydrogen, and of course a chlorine atom. So at the second position, it's there, 2-chlorobutane. So now it has got all the four different groups attached to it. It has got an asymmetric center, which is the stereogenic center over here. This is a stereogenic center, right? A stereogenic center or chiral center, or an asymmetric center, right? Because it has got all these four groups. And now if you bisect the molecule into the two halves, if you bisect it, right? Something thin, I should bisect it. Bisect the molecule into two halves. You are not going to get the one mirror image of the left hand side or the right hand side of the other side, right? Because it has got different groups in it, right? At one side it has got an ethyl group, and the other side it has got a methyl group. So if you just cut the molecule into two halves, you are not going to get the, you are not going to get the plane of symmetry. It does not have a symmetry. It lacks symmetry because it's a chiral molecule. It is not superimposable on its mirror image, right? And it is of course, it's a chiral molecule. It's not achiral, so it lacks the plane of symmetry, right? So this is a wonderful example of a molecule which is of course chiral, that is 2-chlorobutane, and it is chiral and it lacks the plane of symmetry, whereas we discussed just now the 2-chloropropane, right? Which was achiral, and it has when you bisect the molecule between the two, between the center, it has the plane of symmetry, the mirror plane, the internal mirror plane is there. It has a plane of symmetry, as the other half is the mirror image, as the other half, one half of is the mirror image of the other. Whereas in this one, in which you have of course you have the both are different. You can see the difference easily. The 2-chloropropane and 2-chlorobutane, one has got ethyl groups, and this is of course a chiral compound, and this is an achiral compound. Chiral compound, achiral compound. Now everyone should know the difference between a chiral and an achiral compound, and which one holds the plane of symmetry, which doesn't. Of course, the achiral compound holds the plane of symmetry, as it has got the two similar groups attached to it. Whereas here we can see that we have the different groups, four different groups. The tetrahedral carbon atom is there. It has got four different groups there. It's a stereocenter. It's a stereogenic center here. It has an asymmetric, or you can call it an asymmetric carbon atom that has got four different groups in it. So it cannot bisect the molecule so that it can have the two equal halves together. So which are the mirror images of each other, right? So I hope this concept is clear now with these beautiful models, molecular models, which I prepared for my viewers. I hope you like this video, and you will of course learn today what is symmetry, what is plane of symmetry, what is internal mirror plane, and how you can construct your own molecular models, and you can practice on them easily. There are so many other examples, so just find out and mention it when you will be asked in your exam. Thank you very much.